Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission here is simple. We take a whole stack of sometimes pretty dense source material, and we try to pull out the key stuff, the insights you really need to, well, know what's going on.
Yeah, get properly informed.
Exactly. And today we are focusing on an actor whose career is just. It's a masterclass, really, in versatility, in complexity, and frankly, just being unforgettable. We are diving deep into Walton Goggins.
Filmography, personal story, even his work behind the camera.
All of it. Because we want to get past just recognizing him as, that guy.
Right. He's so much more than that now. It's a necessary deep dive, I think, because Goggins is like the perfect example of an actor who starts out as that guy you always see, the character actor everyone recognizes but maybe can't name.
Totally.
But then through just sheer hard work, smart choices, he's completely, utterly moved beyond that label. He's become this critical favorite, or Emmy nominee magnet, and yeah, a producer too.
Absolutely. And when we look at the sources we've got here, this comprehensive biographical stuff, it covers his life from Alabama, Georgia, right up to where he is now an Emmy-nominated lead actor. The story's just, it's one of a relentless worker.
Tireless is the word.
Yeah, who kind of found his groove playing these flawed, often very Southern characters, but then just kept breaking out of that box again and again.
Exactly. We're not just listing roles here. We're looking at the why. Why him? Why is he the actor everyone calls for, that intense moral gray area?
Good question.
And how is he just as convincing playing, a truly sadistic plantation overseer 1 minute and then a sort of poetic backwoods criminal the next, or even a hilariously petty vice principal and now this post-apocalyptic ghoul?
It's incredible range.
He's really cemented himself as one of maybe the most versatile Southern actors working today. You look at the big ones, Shane Vendrell in The Shield, the amazing Boyd Crowder in Justified, and now Fallout. We're going to unpack how he got there.
Okay, let's do it. And to really get a handle on that specific intensity he brings, that energy, you almost have to start at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Trace that path from the South.
Definitely. The South it's the bedrock for him. You hear it in his voice sometimes, see it in his posture, and for sure in the projects he chooses. Yeah. He was born Walton Sanders Goggins Jr., November 10th, 1971. So it's 53 now.
Born in Birmingham, Alabama, yeah. But it was Lithia Springs, Georgia, that suburb of Atlanta, where he really grew up, those formative years. And you feel like that small-town Southern upbringing gave him something like an authentic grounding that he could tap into later for his best work.
Absolutely. That background, that geography.
Yeah.
You can't really understand his creative work without it. Lots of actors from the South try to shed that identity when they hit Hollywood, right?
Yeah, they smooth out the accent.
Exactly. But Goggins leaned into it. He leveraged it.
Yeah.
Education-wise, pretty straightforward. Graduated at Lithia Springs High, went to Georgia Southern University. But crucially, only for a year.
Just 1 year. So the standard college path wasn't for him.
Nope. He ditched it pretty quick for a more direct route, a practical approach to acting.
Which leads us straight to that big decision when he was still a teenager. He realized, look, if I'm serious about this acting thing, Georgia's not going to cut it.
Right.
So he moves to Los Angeles. He's 19. 19? That's incredibly young to land in L.A. trying to make it. And it wasn't like, doors just opened for him.
Oh, God, no. Far from it. This was the absolute classic Hollywood struggle, the grind, that period that really tests you. Moving to L.A. at 19, you're basically fighting thousands of other hopefuls just trying to figure out how to make rent. The sources we have really emphasize how tough he was then, taking acting classes, auditioning nonstop.
And working survival jobs.
Totally. Working at an LA Fitness, running a valet parking business, just hustling to stay afloat. And I think that period is so important because you see that survival instinct, that hustle, reflected in some of his most dynamic characters later on.
Well,
he learned how to fight for it.
It's crucial to remember that struggle, yeah. Because we see the polished star now, the Emmy nominee, but those early years were just pure grit. And interestingly, his very first acting jobs, they weren't even in L.A. where he was hustling. They were back home.
Back in Georgia, yeah. His first few gigs were regional.
Yeah.
And that's actually where the single most important meeting of his entire career happened.
Okay.
While he was filming a TV movie back in 1990 called Murder in Mississippi, he met Ray McKinnon.
Ray McKinnon. Okay, now that connection, I mean, you really can't overstate how important that turned out to be, can you?
No way. It wasn't just meeting another actor. It was the start of this incredibly deep, long-lasting creative partnership. It basically shaped the next, 30 years of their work in independent film?
It's foundational, like you said.
Absolutely foundational. McKinnon and Goggins, they clicked immediately. They realized they had this shared viewpoint, this understanding of Southern life and stories that, Hollywood often just didn't get or turned into a caricature.
Right. Oversimplified it.
Totally. So their collaboration wasn't just about finding acting jobs for each other. It was about building something together, a shared vision. They worked together constantly, and eventually that led them to form their own production company, Ginny Mule Pictures. That meeting on Murder in Mississippi. Less about a single job, more about starting this lifelong creative and frankly entrepreneurial team.
Okay, so moving on from that early grind and finding that key partner in McKinnon, we get to the roles that really start to define the Walton Goggins we know, and you have to start with The Shield.
Oh, absolutely. The Shield.
Ooh.
Running from, 2002 to 2008, that show was revolutionary for its time. It really paved the way for all those dark, morally murky, anti-hero dramas that came after.
Mm-hmm.
And Goggins played Detective Shane Vendrell, part of Vic Mackey's corrupt strike team. This role absolutely cemented his ability to play these incredibly complex, deeply flawed guys, characters whose moral compass is just broken.
Yeah, spinning wildly.
Right. And the audience, you were kind of forced to empathize or at least understand this guy who is capable of doing truly terrible things, betrayals.
And what's so striking about this Shane Vendrell is the physicality he brought, that sort of coiled up intensity. Like he could just snap at any second.
Yes. That's it, exactly. And that intensity, that kind of dangerous energy, it perfectly set him up for the next huge role, which, for many people, it's the Walton Goggins role. Boyd Crowder in Justified.
Boyd Crowder, FX, 2010 to 2015. What a character. The kind of religious, eloquent, philosophical outlaw. The perfect counterpoint to Timothy Oliphant's Raylan Givens.
Just perfect casting, perfect rivalry. And here's where we get maybe the greatest what-if story in recent TV history. It's amazing.
Okay, lay it on us for anyone who doesn't know the incredible behind-the-scenes story here.
Boyd Crowder, he was supposed to die in the pilot episode.
No way. Seriously. Goggins' character was written as a one-and-done villain. Raylan takes him out in the first episode, establishes Raylan as the hero, sets the stakes high. Boom. Done. Imagine Justified without Boyd Crowder.
It's literally unimaginable. That dynamic is the show for so much of its run. So why did he survive? What happened? What did Goggins do?
It was the performance. Simple as that. Showrunner Graham Yost kept Boyd alive because Goggins' portrayal just scored off the charts with test audiences.
Wow.
They didn't just like him. They were completely captivated by this weird mix of Southern charm, the born-again fervor, the kind of intellectual darkness. It was magnetic. That audience reaction was so strong, Yost and the writers realized they just couldn't kill him. It would have been crazy.
The power of a single performance literally rewriting the future of a hit show. That's incredible. Because of that audience reaction, Goggins joins the main cast from season 2, May 2010, and boom, TV history. And that decision obviously paid off massively in terms of critical acclaim, too. Goggins got nominated for the Primetime Emmy, Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, for Justified, specifically for the episode The Eye of the Storm.
Right.
And beyond the Emmy nom, he got, 4 Critics' Choice Television Award nominations for playing Boyd? That consistent recognition tells you this wasn't just a fluke or a popular character. He was operating at an absolutely elite award level for years in that role.
Now, interestingly, right in the middle of playing Boyd Crowder, he takes this absolutely massive swing with a character that proved he could do, almost anything. Completely different from the tough Southern guys. Mm-hmm. Venus Van Dam in Sons of Anarchy.
Venus Van Dam, yeah. Appearing between 2012 and 2014, that role was a risk, definitely, but also a revelation. He played Venus, a transgender sex worker, on the show.
And brought such vulnerability to it.
Incredible vulnerability and depth. Something maybe viewers who only knew him as Shane or Boyd wouldn't have expected. It's the kind of stretch, the kind of range that very few actors even try, let alone pull off with that level of sensitivity and, frankly, grace.
And again, this wasn't just some random stunt casting. It connects back to those crucial relationships he built early on.
Exactly right. Goggins had worked before with Kurt Sutter, the creator of Sons of Anarchy. Sutter was a writer and EP on The Shield.
Ah, the connection.
Right. So there was already that trust there, which probably made it easier for Goggins to take on such a challenging, potentially controversial part.
Right.
And for the real nerds, the fans who followed his whole career, there was that fun little inside joke.
The name.
Venus Van Dam. It's a callback, a playful nod to the undercover name his Shield character, Shane Vendrell, used sometimes. Cletus Van Dam.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Isn't it? It sort of ties his whole FX journey together, showing respect for where he came from while he's pushing himself into totally new territory.
When you think about those three characters, Shane, Boyd, Venus, just how memorable and distinct they all are, it's really no surprise that critics started saying, okay, this guy is something special. He's more than just a supporting player.
Yeah, which leads us right to that perfect quote, that critical summary of this whole period. It was Mike Hale at the New York Times who wrote, Walton Goggins makes a habit of being the best thing about the television shows he's in.
Wow. That's a hell of a statement. It's not just saying he's good, it's saying he elevates everything. He pulls focus, creates his own gravity in a scene.
He's not just there to support the lead. He's creating this whole other equally compelling, sometimes more compelling storyline just with his presence.
Now, something that often gets maybe not overlooked, but certainly less attention than his acting, is the parallel track he was on as a producer.
Right. This is crucial. Goggins wasn't just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring with the perfect script. He was out there actively creating his own opportunities, telling the kinds of stories he wanted to tell, especially those stories reflecting that specific, nuanced view of the South he shared with Ray McKinnon.
It shows a real drive for creative control, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that ambition, that drive, it was channeled directly through their production company, Ginny Mule Pictures, which they co-founded, Goggins and McKinnon. And these weren't just like little vanity projects. These were serious, critically acclaimed, award-winning independent films.
Rooted in that shared sensibility you mentioned.
Exactly. The output from Ginny Mule Pictures, it shows this really clear, focused commitment to indie storytelling, particularly stories centered on complex, character-driven narratives, often set in the South. They made 4 key films that really established them.
Okay, what was the progression there? Because it seems like they found success pretty quickly.
They did. First up was The Accountant, which is a short film. We'll come back to that one. Then came Crystal, which landed a spot in the Sundance Dramatic Competition. That's a huge deal in the indie world.
Major validation.
Definitely. Then they made Randy and the Mob. And finally, That Evening Sun, which was a big success for them, won the South by Southwest Special Jury Prize and also the Best Ensemble Cast Award at SXSW.
So yeah, these films show they were serious players.
But let's circle back to The Accountant, the short film from 2001, because this is the moment he becomes an Oscar winner.
Weird.
While he's still kind of grinding it out as a supporting actor on TV.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you put it in that timeline, right? Goggins starred in The Accountant. He co-produced it with McKinnon and Lisa Blount. And it wins the Academy Award for Best Live-Action Short Film.
Incredible.
Think about that. He's simultaneously hustling for roles on shows like The Shield, doing the whole actor grind, and boom, he's an Oscar-winning producer. It just immediately puts him in this different category of creative talent. Very rare. And the recognition wasn't just the Oscar, right? There was other indie cred that came with it.
That's right. They also shared the Spirit of Slamdance Award for The Accountant. Slamdance is all about that truly independent, maybe even rebellious filmmaking spirit. So winning that award alongside the Oscar, it really validated their whole approach, doing things their own way, outside the mainstream system.
And the success and the connections they built through Ginny Mule Pictures, that directly paved the way for one of the most highly regarded, critically beloved dramas of the 2010s, Rectify.
Ah, yes, Rectify. Such a beautiful contemplative show. And the story behind it is a perfect illustration of Goggins' influence, not just as an actor, but as a sort of curator or tastemaker. Ray McKinnon created the series, obviously, this deep, complex story about Daniel Holden, a guy released from death row after nearly 20 years. And Goggins was actually set to play Daniel Holden initially.
Wow, Goggins as Daniel, that would have been very different. Fascinating. What happened there?
Well, McKinnon wrote the pilot, Ginny Mule developed it, and AMC actually bought the script first.
Yeah.
So big hopes for it on a major network.
Okay.
But eventually, the project moved over to Sundance TV for production. And when it landed there, the lead role ultimately went to Aiden Young, who was fantastic.
It really was.
So while Goggins didn't end up starring in it, his influence through Ginny Mule, through his long partnership with McKinnon, his fingerprints are all over that show's DNA. The development, the tone, the Southern Gothic feel, it just confirms that his impact goes way beyond what you see on screen. He's deeply invested in bringing these specific kinds of meaningful, character-focused, often Southern stories to life.
So while he's winning Oscars for producing short films and absolutely owning premium cable with roles like Boyd Crowder, Goggins is also building this incredibly varied feature film resume, often playing characters, especially in Westerns, that tapped into that same darkness he perfected on The Shield.
Yeah, he became sort of an essential ingredient for directors, particularly Quentin Tarantino, who needed a certain kind of unsettling villain, someone intelligent but also capable of real sadism.
Let's start with the Django Unchained back in 2012. He played Billy Crash. What was it about that role that was so chilling?
Billy Crash, he was just cold. A sadistic overseer, a slave-fighting trainer at Candyland. Goggins played him with this kind of controlled, efficient cruelty. It wasn't like Boyd Crowder, where the malice sometimes comes wrapped in philosophy. Billy Crash was just purely functionally evil and effective. That performance got him a nomination as part of the ensemble for a San Diego Film Critics Award.
And then just a few years later, another Tarantino film, The Hateful Eight in 2015, playing Captain Chris Mannix. And this shows his range even within Tarantino's world, right? Because Mannix is totally different.
Totally different from Billy Crash. Mannix is, well, he's louder, more volatile, maybe a bit more insecure. He claims to be the new sheriff of Red Rock, but nobody really believes him. He's almost more of a kind of desperate, maybe slightly buffoonish figure compared to the calculated evil of Crash.
Right, more bluster.
Yeah, lots of bluster. It let Goggins play with the comedic aspects of the character's sort of political posturing and his rising panic as things go sideways in that cabin. It really showed his control over nuance, even in that heightened Tarantino style.
Yeah.
He got a Saturn Award nomination for that one and won the Hollywood Film Award as part of that amazing ensemble.
And it wasn't only Tarantino seeing that range. Spielberg cast him, too, in Lincoln back in 2012. He played Clay Hawkins. Just the fact that he can jump from Tarantino's stylized violence to Spielberg's historical prestige drama, that really says something about his versatility around that time.
And he was working constantly in features during that period, say 2010 to 2018, just hopping genres like crazy. He became that actor, that really reliable character actor that big studios knew they could plug into almost anything to add some grounding or some specific flavor.
You really see that reliability in the blockbusters and franchises he popped up in.
Oh, yeah. In 2010, he was Stans, this really nasty death row inmate being hunted on an alien planet in Predators. The next year, 2011, he's like Hunt, a bandit, in Cowboys and Aliens. Then he starts getting roles in these huge franchise movies. He was the main villain, Matthias Vogel, in the Tomb Raider reboot in 2018.
And then he enters the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which further kind of solidified him as that go-to guy for a specific kind of villain. Not the world-ending threat, but something more tangible.
Exactly. Sonny Birch in Ant-Man and the Wasp, also 2018. He wasn't these old Thanos. He was a criminal arms dealer, a black market tech guy. It made the threat feel more immediate, more grounded, even in a superhero movie. Same year, he's Lawrence in Maze Runner, The Death Cure. He just has this knack for making the bad guy feel specific, injecting a bit of gritty reality into these massive spectacles.
Okay, so he's got this thriving film career doing dramas, westerns, franchises. But then comes maybe the most surprising pivot of all, his collaboration with Danny McBride on HBO, a full dive into comedy. But not just any comedy, like really dark, uncomfortable, hilarious comedy.
It's kind of amazing how easily he made that jump, isn't it? From the intensity Boyd Crowder to Lee Russell. Yeah. What does that shift tell us about his range as a performer? The two characters he created with McBride, starting with Vice Principals from 2016 to 2017, they showed off a completely different comedic toolkit.
Lee Russell in Vice Principals. He was the ultimate passive-aggressive schemer, right? Just pure, manic, petty ambition. Determined to become principal no matter what it took. It was a masterclass in weaponized insecurity.
And so different, so dynamic compared to the kind of quiet menace he often did, and got a major recognition, officially stamping him as a comedic force. He won the Critics' Choice Television Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series in 2018 for Lee Russell. That win basically told the industry, okay, this guy isn't just versatile, he's genuinely brilliant at comedy, too.
And that partnership with McBride continued, moving into the completely bonkers world of The Righteous Gemstones, starting in 2019 and still going strong. And this time, he transforms again, completely into Baby Billy Freeman.
Baby Billy. Oh, my God. He's just a masterpiece of tragicomic eccentricity. The hair, the outfits, the desperate attempts at showbiz comebacks, the constant scheming against his own family.
Misbehave.
Yes. It's just brilliant character work. It takes this specific commitment to playing, like, geriatric failure with absolute sincerity. And Goggins just nails it. He got nominated for a Satellite Award and a Hollywood Music and Media Award for Baby Billy, proving again that his dramatic intensity translates perfectly into comedic desperation.
And all of this, the intense drama, the award-winning comedy, it seems to have built towards this incredible recent run. Massive, high-profile roles that have put him right at the center of the cultural conversation, leading to this amazing string of Emmy nominations.
Yeah, 2024 really felt like the year of Goggins, largely because of Fallout. playing that dual role. Cooper Howard, the charming pre-war movie star.
Right, the sort of cowboy actor ideal.
And then the completely transformed ghoul.
Yeah.
The cynical, noseless 200-year-old bounty hunter wandering the wasteland.
The physical transformation is obviously huge with the makeup for the ghoul, but the performance demands so much more. He has to balance centuries of cynicism and survival with flashes of the man Cooper Howard used to be.
And that performance got massive and totally deserved attention. Crucially, it led to his first nomination for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series for Fallout, specifically for the episode The Ghouls.
That's huge, moving definitively from supporting to lead actor recognition.
It's a major career milestone.
Yeah.
Plus, an Astra TV Award nomination for the same role. The guy is just on fire.
And showing absolutely no signs of hitting the brakes. Looking ahead to 2025, he's already lined up for the third season of probably the buzziest show on TV right now, The White Lotus.
Yep, scheduled to play a character named Rick Hatchett in Season 3. And what's truly wild is the anticipation and the early industry buzz around that casting were so strong, he's already been nominated for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series for that role, before it even airs.
That's insane. Nominated for lead actor for Fallout and supporting actor for White Lotus basically back-to-back, while still doing Gemstones?
It's an incredible level of career momentum. Very few actors ever hit that kind of peak across multiple genres and formats simultaneously.
Okay, so to really round out this deep dive, we need to step back from the characters, the awards, the career trajectory, and look at the man himself. Because Walton Goggins' personal story has its own share of surprising twists, some funny, some deeply tragic, plus this real entrepreneurial streak.
Yeah, let's start with something kind of unexpected, a little humanizing detail, especially when you think about his very expressive, sometimes intimidating on-screen presence. He's missing his front teeth. Or he lost them as a kid.
Right. The source material confirms the specific kind of dramatic story. He lost his front teeth playing baseball as a kid when someone accidentally threw the ball right at his face.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's just one of those details that adds a layer of maybe vulnerability underneath all the tough guy roles he sometimes plays.
Definitely. Now, moving into his adult personal life, it's been marked by real joy, but also, as you said, by profound tragedy. His first marriage was to Leanne Knight. She was Canadian, owned a dog-walking business there in Laurel Canyon. They got married back in 2001.
And that marriage ended incredibly sadly just a few years later, during what must have been a really tough time for him personally.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Leanne Knight died by suicide in November 2004. And the source notes that while they were estranged at the time, they were still legally married when she passed away. It just points to an unimaginably difficult, complicated period in his life. A stark contrast to the relentless energy we often see from him on screen.
It's a heavy thing to carry.
For sure. And maybe, you contribute somehow to the depth of pain or loss he can convey so convincingly in his roles.
He did find stability and happiness again later. He remarried in August 2011 to filmmaker Nadia Connors, and they have a child together.
And it seems clear, maybe partly because of those earlier experiences, that Goggins really values time for reflection, for personal growth. At one point, he took a pretty significant break, a sabbatical.
And traveled, right, extensively through India.
Exactly. And he didn't just, disappear on vacation. He turned that experience into another creative outlet. He shared photography from the trip on a blog he kept at the time. It was called Hindu to You Too.
Okay.
Which just confirms, again, his creative energy isn't just limited to acting. He seems to be this inherently visual person, a storyteller, documenting his own journey.
And beyond the creative side, the acting, the producing, the photography, he's also a businessman, an entrepreneur, extending his sort of personal brand into consumer products.
Right. He's a partner in a spirits company, Mulholland Distilling.
Which kind of feels like a natural fit, right? That sort of southern, maybe slightly old school, but cool, refined vibe he has.
Totally. But his latest venture is pure 21st century celebrity marketing, really playing on his distinctive look and newfound mainstream fame.
The eyewear.
The active eyewear designing, yeah. And the promotion for it was huge. A co-branded commercial with GoDaddy that ran during the Super Bowl in 2025. Super Bowl LIX.
Wow, his first Super Bowl ad. First. Which really signals this massive jump in his overall cultural visibility and his commercial bankability, leveraging the stardom he's built up, especially from Fallout.
Finally, we should also touch on his voice work, because it proves that intensity, that distinctiveness, it comes through even when you can't see his face.
Absolutely. He's the voice of Cecil Stedman in the animated superhero show Invincible. He's been in like 21 episodes.
And Cecil Stedman he's a classic Goggins-esque character, right?
Yeah.
Morally gray government guy operating in the shadows.
Perfectly in his wheelhouse. Complex, potentially ruthless, doing bad things for maybe good reasons. Or maybe not. And he also lent that unmistakable voice to a true crime podcast back in 2020, Deep Cover, The Drug Wars.
Yeah.
So yeah, whether you're seeing him or just hearing him, that power, that intensity, it's always there. #tag outro.
Well, this deep dive has really, I think, laid bare the incredible range and just the sheer amount of critical acclaim Walton Goggins has earned over his career.
Yeah.
We've gone from, the gritty realism of Shane Vendrell on The Shield
to the poetic menace of Boyd Crowder, then that amazing award-winning jump into comedy with Lee Russell and Baby Billy Freeman, and now this absolutely iconic transformation into the Ghoul and Fallout. He just seems fundamentally unwilling to do the same thing twice.
He really is the definition of an actor whose career just keeps getting richer, keeps accelerating, even well into it. Moving from being maybe the best supporting actor on TV to a genuinely recognized Emmy-nominated lead. But I think it's crucial, like we discussed, to also remember his impact behind the camera.
Absolutely.
We can't forget Ginny Mule Pictures. That early Oscar for The Accountant is astounding. The quality of films like That Evening Sun, or the foundational role they played in getting a masterpiece like Rectify off the ground.
Yeah, his career isn't just about the roles he gets offered. It's about actively shaping and curating these compelling, often very specific regional stories that push boundaries, whether it's the raw intensity of The Shield or the bizarre, nuanced absurdity of The Righteous Gemstones, that dual-status powerhouse actor and Oscar-winning producer. It gives him a pretty unique position in the industry.
Which I guess leads us to our final thought for you, the listener. When you consider Goggins' deep Southern roots, Alabama, Georgia, and his proven track record as a producer focused on those rich, complex regional stories with Ginny Mule, how does that dual career really work together? Being this highly visible star, getting massive Emmy nominations, while also being this behind-the-scenes champion for independent Southern voices. Yeah. How does that enrich the whole landscape of storytelling today?
That's a great question.
And maybe, what other kinds of projects, stories that really speak to that Southern experience, might he be quietly developing right now through Ginny Mule, even while he's off filming huge shows like The White Lotus? It might be worth going back and exploring that Ginny Mule filmography, seeing what kinds of stories really fire him up, what might be next.
A really compelling thought. It reminds us his most interesting chapters might still be ahead. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.